Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Fireant Fishing. This week I got a lot of good questions concerning my 12-foot and 16-foot John boat projects, and they were a little hard to explain in the comment section, so I decided to go ahead and make a video about them. First question is from Daniel Crowley. He asked, "Hey man, how much total weight are you going to be putting in the boat when everything is said and done? I'm going to be doing a John boat to bass boat conversion soon and have watched hundreds of videos and like the angled aluminum for the supports the best. But I'm concerned about weight. Will the boat be able to handle it after gear and everything?" Basically what he's asking is how much weight is added with the angled aluminum compared to wood, like by using 2x4s or something for the framing. There's positives and negatives to both the wood and the angled aluminum. The wood is cheaper, it's easier to use as far as like cutting it, getting the shape you want. If you need to put two pieces together, all you do is put a screw in them, but the wood is going to be much heavier, much heavier. With the angled aluminum, it's much more expensive. It's harder to cut it and get the right shape that you're looking for at times. When you need to put two pieces together, you got to get them together. I use like a clamp to keep them close together, and then you got to drill a hole in them, put the rivet in, rivet the rivet. So it's much more time consuming, but at the end, you're not adding a whole lot of weight. With my project specifically, I didn't want to add too much weight, especially since I took out the old decks and I'm building completely new decks. I wanted to get away with doing that with adding the least amount of weight as possible. So to answer that question good, I think your best bet if you're worried about weight is to use the aluminum. If you're looking for like vertical framing, I did not personally feel like the angled aluminum was the best choice for that. It didn't seem strong enough or sturdy enough. So that's why I took that 1/2-inch plywood and stood it up vertically. So now I have that whole length of wood as a support all the way down to the bottom of the boat. It's much stronger than I think I could have done with any piece of aluminum. So after I had my structure wood set up into place with that channeling, I was able to build the entire front deck with aluminum off of those two pieces of wood. So all that aluminum you see on the front of my boat is built off of that wood. So if you're concerned about adding too much weight in the boat, I would say go with aluminum and use as little to no wood as possible. In my 16-foot John boat, if I had to use wood, if aluminum was not an option for me, I would have kept the original decks in it and then just use the wood to build off of that. Like, say I wanted the decks like a foot longer, I would have used the original decks and then just used the wood to build a foot away. That way I'm adding less wood as opposed to taking out the old decks and building a whole new front deck out of all wood. My next question comes from Chris. He said, "I was checking out your videos on your 12-foot boat because I have the exact same one. I was curious, do you happen to have any pictures or could explain how you did the box for the Motor Guide X3? How did you attach it to the deck and the top of the rail?" So let me go show you guys how I built that box for the front trolling motor. Alright, so let's pretend that this is my 12-foot John boat, that there's a deck on here, and that all this is carpeted, and I'm ready to build the box for my trolling motor. So basically that box is just an L shape. So I took a piece of 2x4, I measured the width of the base of the trolling motor so I knew how wide the top of the box needed to be. I stood the 2x4 up like that, moved it to the side of the boat, and then took a Sharpie and marked the curvature of the side of the boat onto the 2x4. There you go. So then I cut off this top piece. Now we got to pretend that this top piece of this 2x4 isn't there. I stood it back up where I needed it to go. So I took the piece of plywood and then basically just sat it on top of it so that it was underneath it like that. And I made sure to cut the end of the plywood to the side of the boat. So now just pretend that this piece of 2x4 is right underneath this piece of wood. Put a couple screws in there to secure it to the outside of the boat. I also did put 2 screws, the smallest ones I could get away with, into the rim of the boat over here. However, I do not suggest doing that. That's just another place for water to be able to get into. Before I drilled anything down into the boat, I made a hole down in the deck so I could run all the wires down into it. Kind of like that one. And so that's how I made the box for the front trolling motor. As you can see, I have a lip on the front of this boat too. So I'm also gonna have to build a box for this boat. I don't exactly know how I'm gonna do it yet, but when I do, I'll be sure to show it to you guys. So after getting those two really good questions at the beginning of the week, I decided to post a picture on Instagram basically saying, hey, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask them and they will be answered in this video. Thanks to Dylan, you're the only one that asked a question, so this one's for you, bud. What is the cheapest way to make a deck or the easiest way to make a removable deck? So first off, the cheapest way to make a deck, I'd say by using wood. That's definitely going to be cheaper than buying a whole bunch of aluminum to make your decks. There's a cheap way to do it, and then I would say that there's also a correct way to do it, and then trying to do that way cheaper as far as your supplies. Like the plywood that I'm using for the decks on my 16-foot John boat are sanded pieces of plywood. You could get away with buying the unsanded pieces and they're a little bit cheaper. So that'll save you some money. Spend the money where you need to spend the money. What is the easiest way to make a removable deck? I would say when you're building it, have the thought process of making it removable. So what I mean by that is, like, as you're building it, ask yourself, like, is that going to make this thing removable? Am I going to be able to take it out if I do this or if I do that? Don't use screws in the wood directly into the boat, because then it's not going to be removable. But yeah, just as you're building it, just keep asking yourself, if I put this piece here or if I put this piece there, am I still going to be able to remove the deck? So I hope this video helped answer your guys' questions a little bit better. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you have any more questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the comment section down below. And don't forget to subscribe for future content. Thanks for watching, guys.